caught dead doing yoga. What changed?
You have to understand that the first 42 years of my life, I would never be caught dead doing yoga, but necessity came into my life. Like, I didn't start wrestling until I was 35. My career didn't take off until I was 40. That was in 96. 97 and 98, I was on top of the world, and then boom, I blew my back out so bad that I'd blown out all my flexibility, my core strength. 3 doctors said my career was over. Obviously, I'd try anything. So I was doing the rehab. My old lady brought it to me at the time. You should really try yoga. I'm like, I'm not doing yoga. After a while, it wore me down. Started doing it. Really glad I did. Wasn't into all the spiritual mumbo jumbo. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It just didn't work for me. So I started to take those yoga positions, mix them with the rehab. Then I added in old school calisthenics, push-ups, squats, crunches. And then I added something I call dynamic resistance. And all that is engaging a muscles as you're moving from one position to another, whether it's punching or reaching or grabbing or just acting like you're lifting weights. Every time you engage a muscle, your heart's got to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. So by accident, I created a workout that was kick-ass cardio, DDP yoga, kick-ass cardio. Dramatically increase your flexibility and your core strength conditioning with minimal joint impact. That's the only way I could roll at that point. No impact for my cardio. That's why I got the disabled veteran to be able to go from knee braces, back braces, and canes to running. Did you see that video? That's how Jake has made his whole comeback. Minimal joint impact, but kick-ass cardio. Plus you're constantly breaking up scar tissue when you're creating flexibility.
Minimal joint impact. Because man, my shit was so screwed up. My feet were killing me, that my toes were curling. My hands were doing the same thing. You see this little thing there? Those are my tendons that are tightening. They give me meds for them. They were still like that. Since I started this routine and eating right, which gets all the poisons out of your system, routine helps me stretch them back out. I'm off the meds. That's a great thing, man. Not have to get up every morning and take 4 or 5 pills, especially for an addict, because I started thinking, hey, those are fun, you know?
From that to that, in 6 months, he lost 65 pounds, but the weight was not the issue. He couldn't move. Every time he was moving, I had to help him out of the chair. Couldn't go from standing to the ground. Again, dynamic resistance is the thing that gets your heart rate jacked up. When you're engaging those muscles and flexing, and we all know how to lift weights, we know what we did when we did that. So we recreate that again with no impact. No impact of the weights, no impact of running. It got him eating real food. And when I say real food, I mean food that is not GMO. Do you know what GMO stands for? Genetically modified organism. You don't want to eat that crap. Just telling you, it's not real food. I got him eating real food, Arthur eating real food, Scott Hall eating real food. Their bodies come back. Real food will heal your body.
That helps me. The fact that my mind is much clearer. The fact that I wake up with a smile. I feel good. I want to do something right today. I'm getting high today. Damn right, all day long. You know how? By helping somebody else, man. If you want to feel good, I mean really high, go help somebody, man. Go help somebody that's having a hard time walking. Help somebody that can't straighten their hands. Help somebody that's way overweight. I met a guy yesterday, he's my new project. He said, the last time I weighed 525. Brother, let me help you. I'm gonna be calling that son of a bitch a couple of times a week, aggravating the hell out of him. And if he don't stick to it, I'm gonna come up and go to his house and find him and kick his stinking ass. Why? Because I can, and because I love him, man, because I know what it's like to be in that much pain. I'm talking about pain from shame too, man. Pain from anger. All those things come into play.
The reason why I helped Jake out was because he had actually, he gave me the knowledge back in the day. I always say, without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. But without Jake Roberts, I never break up into that upper echelon of guys. He taught me, took me under his wing. He mentored me. I'm just flipping it, doing the same thing back for him. Scott Hall and I were buddies for years, 20 plus years. Over our careers, we helped each other. I'm just passing it back over to him. He will come back. It's a pay it forward thing, man. and that I could help two of the guys that everybody gave up on in the same year, in the same house. I call it DDP's accountability crib. That could happen. The odds in Vegas we would have made a lot of money if we'd went and put some money down on that before we started.
So I'll say this about his program also. There are side effects. There are side effects. I mean, everything has side effects. You pick up an aspirin bottle, you got 500 side effects. Some of the side effects are weight loss, a smile on your face. Your family wants to get back with you, man, because you're clean and sober, man. Those are just a few. So I dare you, jump on.
I have been quoted saying I'm not a rehab facility because I'm not. I don't have any of that education. I have the education of life and a superstar that wore his body out as well. And I know how to help heal guys by teaching them the same thing that I do. Again, eating real food, doing a minimal joint impact workout, DDP yoga, which you can find at ddpyoga.com. And I have a big picture plan, but it involves much bigger than what I'm doing, and I'm just keeping it under wraps until that other entity steps in.
I read that you had an Indiegogo to help raise money for Scott Hall's hip replacement.
Scott Hall's hip, right.
And you had $1,000 to spend the weekend with you guys. What kind of stuff did you do?
Actually, it was Jake. It was $1,000 to spend a weekend. It should have been one night, but we made it for the weekend, and we just had two of the guys in. Read their one guy wrote a whole story up, Jonathan, on Reddit. It's everybody should have jumped on that. We did it again for Scott Hall, and that was for Jake Roberts, who we did the $1,000 one for. When we did it for Scott Hall, it was like $3,500. It was for one night. We flew you in, picked you up, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we haven't done any of those yet, because there only was two. But the people that were helping the guys because it wasn't really like donations. They got pictures, phone calls, t-shirts, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, those guys, Jake and Scott, they realized, wow, the people really do care about us. When they didn't care about themselves, complete strangers cared about them. So it's been really, it's been an awesome experience, period.
So how did you hook up with, I think his name was Arthur, the man that couldn't walk and then went to run?
How I hooked up with a disabled veteran that I helped walk again, well, that was strictly over the internet. It was before there was this big internet explosion. It was in 2007, and we just started talking. He asked me for some help on some things. I found out he's a disabled veteran. I've been to Iraq 3 times. I've been to Afghanistan once to see the troops. So I got a special spot in my heart for, especially for disabled veterans. And I started to work with him. But if he didn't put the work in, I wouldn't have worked with him. He did everything I told him to do. He lost 140 pounds in 10 months, but more importantly, lost the knee braces, the back brace, and the canes, and ran. If you want to see that video, if you're one of the people who haven't seen it, because it's got 8.7 million views and counting, go to ddpyoga.com. Be the first thing to come up. That cool?
If you could have changed one thing about your career, what would it have been?
If I could have changed one thing about my career, I never would have done the stalker angle. I would have done the People's Champion versus People's Champion, People's Champion versus People's Champion, angle, but that wasn't meant to be. The positive side that came out of that, I am the best businessman I can be. And with taking a thing like DDP yoga, because you have to really think about that. I created a yoga workout that's not for yogis. It's for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. That's completely different than even taking the path less traveled. That's called you come up to the forest, there is no path. So I got on a bulldozer and created my own path. And DDP yoga will be right up there with the P90Xs and the insanities as far as household name for workouts in 3 to 5 years. Because no workout is minimal joint impact. They're all high impact. So eventually they all gotta come to me if they're looking for that intensity. Minimal joint impact and kick-ass cardio. That this is my flexibility. Cold, you got your camera. I haven't done anything since I woke up. This is my flexibility cold. But flexibility is one thing. Be able to stand here and talk to you at any point in time and put my foot right in your camera here or pull it over my head over here. This is core strength at a different level. I'm 57. Beat my body up from 35 to 49. Real food, DDP yoga.
So one last question. What's your ultimate goal with the DDP yoga?
Change the world. My ultimate goal with DDP yoga is to change the world, especially the way the world looks at the word yoga. I never call this yoga. I only call it DDP yoga. And if you can catch the catchphrase, it ain't your mama's yoga.